So, can India win the Asian Champions Trophy for the fourth time? Is the big question. The ACT is currently on in Chennai. India will play Pakistan on the 9th of August, and as usual, it is going to be one hell of a match, whether it is cricket or hockey or anything. The moment India plays Pakistan, all the eyeballs will be on it. Sandeep, your initial take on the India Pakistan match, how hyped will it be?
Well, the hype is already being done. I think it's not what it used to be 10, 15 years back, not even 10, 15 years back. You go back to 2000, you go back to the 90s, even up till 2000, 2003, 2004, it was uh, an extremely close match. And during that time, Pakistan was the superior side. They had better players. They understood how to basically play the Asian style the most effectively. But this time, the teams probably come in. They haven't played an international tournament before this. So you can understand the kind of preparation Pakistan has. Yes, they are rebuilding. Aikman used to be their coach. He's gone back. Now they have taken in Rehan and Sakleen. But having said all of that, going back into history and now, I think one really needs to understand that once these two teams enter the field, I mean, get onto the pitch, there are times when emotion takes over. When I say emotions, I mean people kind of lose structure. The team kind of starts playing the way they want to. They tend to play a little to the gallery if they can dribble past two, three. That's the time when the game becomes open. But but even with all those stats, even with all the superiority, I think it should not be too difficult for India to clinch this match.
Okay, before we talk more on the India Pakistan match, I want to basically brief the viewers on the points table, get your point of view on that, and also let them know that India is already in the semi-finals because they are on the head of the points table. So if they lose the match to Pakistan, even then they are through, and Pakistan won't be in the final. So how important is that angle, Sandeep, on relieving the pressure on Team India?
Once Asian Champions Trophy, apart from the other tournaments, is slightly easier in a sense that you know that even if you draw a game, which India did with Japan, you can still win a couple of more and then enter the semi-finals. Pakistan can also make it. They are right now sitting on, I think, on 5 points, and let's see what happens tomorrow in the other games. But assuming Pakistan enter the final after losing to us also, sorry, enter the semi-final after losing to us, there is a good chance that India might win its semi-final. Pakistan also might clinch a semi-final on the other side, and you can easily see a summit clash between India and Pakistan again because semi-final means a complete change in character of the team, a complete change in the way personalities are in the team. It also means that the coach gets on to a different because it's a knockout game. There is nothing called, you got to go for a draw or something and you can walk off. A knockout gives a very different feeling to the team. And whether it is Pakistan or whether it is Korea or Malaysia, whoever is in the semi-finals against them, the complete turnaround of a team you will see in a semi-final. Sometimes a good team loses, and sometimes a team that's been pretty average takes out, all of its cards and wins a semi-final.
Let's talk about the Pakistan coaches. So the main coach is Mohammad Saklan and his assistant is Rayan Butt. Now both are pretty prominent names, and you, most importantly, have seen them play repeatedly back in time, and you hold them in high regard as players. My first question to you is that do good players make good coaches?
Not always. I mean, like you- we see that in every sport. I mean, hockey including. I mean, some of the best coaches in hockey have not been great players, except for the exception of probably Rick Charlesworth in Australia, who was a World Cup winning captain, massively a legend of the sport, and then become a legend in coaching itself. But Sakleen and Rehan probably bring something into the game, which is probably the flavor that Pakistan plays with, which is pretty evident. You can see in their forward line, you can see their captain, rotating the ball, Umar Butt. Uh, Amazing player. But what Sakleen and Rehan will probably tell this team is that, just try and calm your emotions down. Try and understand that there is a structure. Try and understand that India has been playing in a very professional way, irrespective of the results that we have had in the last 2, 3 years, except the Tokyo bronze medal in the Olympics. Pakistan has been finding it extremely difficult to qualify for the quality tournaments like the World Cup and the Olympic Games. That's where India scores. India scores in a sense that for after a long time, you see teams playing with consistency. Now, whether that consistency is in wins or whether that consistency is in maintaining structures. When I say maintaining a structure, I mean technically that whatever happens, you don't break out. You don't suddenly take the ball and start running towards the opposition. You hold the ball, you wait, you see the spaces, and then you deal with the ball. Earlier, it was a one-to-one. You tackle three, you tackle four, people in the gallery applauding you, and you feel you're a great player. None of that, because you might get dropped in the next match by the coach if you do all of that. Yesterday in the Korea game, we saw Sumit having a fantastic match, but there were times when he overplayed his hand. When you know that the space is not there, but you still think that you might dribble past a couple of them, but you don't because other teams are very good. I think that's where Saqlain and Rehan probably will bring in a flavor that will be opposite to what Craig does with the Indian team. And that is where Pakistan's
On
strength
that
is.
count, Sandeep, let me ask Sushant, the producer, to play a sound bite of रेहान भट्ट. तो उसको हम लोग सुनते हैं रेहान भट्ट और उनकी जुबान से सुनते हैं कि एक इंडिया पाकिस्तान मैच कैसा होता है, क्या प्रेशर होता है, क्या लुत्फ उठाते हैं. तो आइए सुनते हैं रेहान भट्ट क्या कह रहे हैं.
पहले इंडिया पाकिस्तान मैच की कोई प्लानिंग नहीं है. जो कहते हैं ना प्लानिंग है, झूठ हो. एज अ कोच मैं आपको ये बताता हूँ कि जब दोनों टीमों के प्लेयर ग्राउंड में उतरते हैं, किसी को नहीं स्ट्रक्चर पता लग रहा होता है. वो सिर्फ इंडिया पाकिस्तान खेल रहा होता है और उसको जब आप कंट्रोल करते हैं, क्योंकि राइट नाउ मेरे लड़के बहुत यंग हैं और मेरे जो लड़के हैं उनके पास खोने के लिए कुछ नहीं है. जैसे आज चाइना, अगर हम लूज करते तो शायद हमारे लिए एम्बैरेसिंग होता कि हम चाइना से हार गए. बट अगर हम इंडिया के साथ खेल रहे हैं, हमारे लड़के यंग हैं, उनके ऊपर प्रेशर नहीं है. वो जस्ट इन अ ग्राउंड एंड प्ले. मेरे ख्याल से थोड़ा बहुत होम ग्राउंड का, ग्राउंड का, चीज़ों का प्रेशर थोड़ा बहुत इंडिया को होगा. इन बच्चों के ऊपर नहीं. ये बच्चे आएंगे और खेलेंगे और अगर ये बच्चे इंडिया को टफ टाइम भी देंगे तो ये भी मेरी चीज़ है एज अ कोच. ये मेरी नहीं, हमारी चीज़ है, जो हमारा सारा स्टाफ है. और मैंने पहले भी बताया, मुझे सिर्फ 45 डेज हुए हैं इस टीम के साथ और आई एम वेरी वेरी सेटिस्फाइड विद परफॉर्मेंस. मेरे ख्याल से आप सब ने देखी है और आप लोगों को भी ये यकीन नहीं होगा कि 2-2, 4-4 मैच चले ऐसे फाइट करेंगे यहाँ पर.
रेहान भट्ट जो है बहुत ही शातिर तरीके से क्लेवरली अपनी बात रख रहे हैं और ये कह रहे हैं कि उन पे प्रेशर नहीं रहेगा क्योंकि वो एक यंग टीम है. इंडिया पे पूरा प्रेशर रहेगा, पूरा दारोमदार इंडिया पे होगा. लेकिन संदीप, क्रेग फुलटन साहब की बात की जाए तो प्रेशर फिर उन पे होगा, हमारे कोच जो है.
I think he was asked yesterday also that, Pakistan is saying that they're going to win the match. I think his reply was that I'll give my reply in the game itself. So he is going in a very different direction. Understand, he's coming in from he was part of the South African team, but he's coming in from a very, very, very structured coaching systems of Europe. He was Belgium coach at the end of the day, a team that's 2018 World Cup champion, a team that was runners-up in the last World Cup. So he's coming from a very different system where they don't get emotional. For them, it's always the performance on the field, and then they analyze and then they come back. So both of the coaches bring in a very different element. What Rehan is saying is absolutely true. As I said, sometimes you lose your cool. Sometimes you just go and just say, okay, fine, how could you dribble past me? Now I'm going to dribble past 4. That is where the coach comes in and screams from the sideline and says, what the hell is happening? Calm down, get back into what was the plan. I remember the 2002 Cologne Champions Trophy. India was leading 3-1. It was the fourth match. We would have won a bronze if the lead would have remained the same. Rehan played a brilliant match. I think he was the guy who scored the match winner 4-3. We lost that match 4-3. Wasim on the left half, a short guy, but probably one of the best left halves the world hockey has ever seen. He completely took control in the last 15 minutes. India lost control simply because we led 3-1. We thought 10 minutes is an okay time for us to control them. We didn't. We got emotional. We started running into the Pakistanis itself. What happens is when a team runs into another team, you leave wide spaces, which the other team exploits. As I said earlier, at that time, Pakistan was superior than us, even though in 2003, we beat them 7-4 in a pool game, but Pakistan was a much superior side in terms of planning. I think when they play on the 9th, when they play in Chennai, India will be superior not only in planning, but in structures, as well as the skill and talent of the team. So for Pakistan to win will be so big that even Rehan can't imagine. It will be probably bigger, honestly, bigger than the times when he used to win against India. So I can get what he's saying there.
We did a show recently with Siggy Eichmann, and you were also on the show. So Siggy Eichmann was the Pakistan coach for about a year, and then he de-linked because of apparently some payment issues, so things went sour. But Siggy's important point, I remember in that show when he said that when it comes to the subcontinent, this obsession with goals, he mimicked the our lingo, and he said, "Oh, maro, daudo, goal karo." So he says that is not what hockey is. So do you agree with that assessment when you compare the Indian subcontinent with Europe?
15, 20 years when we were all naive and we thought that, it's all about dribbling, it's all about running down the flank. It's always all about कि दो को काटो, तीन को काटो, बहुत अच्छा लगे match. I completely try and understand and feel that, that was a very different world. This is a world where you need to win. It's not about winning ugly. You need to win because there's a certain plan on how to win. You can't go away from the plan. It's the job of the coach. And if you see sides, except for Australia, let me just put that completely clearly. Australia is one team that doesn't want to play ugly at all. Of course, they train to such a level and they have players of such skill that you're amazed that how does this team even lose a game? Of course, in the last 2-3 years, they have been having a little tough time, but they're still in the top 4. But I think when it comes to technique, when it comes to structure, I think that's the way modern hockey is. And modern hockey is going to remain like that because world over, it's always about structures. It's not about emotions and all of that.
I remember, and I'm going to, basically push you on this in an offline chat when before Craig Fulton came in, and you were saying we were having a chat, and you said very clearly that एक ही coach बनता है वो है Craig Fulton, and the Hockey Federation should pick him. You even spoke to a couple of people, so I don't want to name them, but they took Craig Fulton at the end of the day. So ever since he's come in, there's this chat about he's going in for a defensive strategy. He is changing the way India thinks. And that very important point that no matter what your individual skills are, you stick to a game plan. But do you think leading up to the Asian Games and the Olympics, hopefully we qualify, he would be able to achieve all of that? Is there enough time?
Yeah, there's enough time. He's seen the Pro League with the team. He's already been to Spain in the last couple of weeks. He's seeing the team here, and we also have to understand that there has been a player, and unfortunately nobody has even spoken about him. Surinder Kumar, he was dropped. He was your main guy at the postman's position, which is if you look at the goalpost during a penalty corner, he stands to the left post, basically taking the balls that the goalkeeper might miss, and sometimes it comes onto the body and sometimes it takes him on the stick. He's been dropped. So I think there is emphasis on defensive structures, but with players like Sumit once again coming in, there is also an emphasis of clearing the ball at pace. Sometimes you would see players like Jarmanpreet. I still remember the Champions Trophy when Harinder was captain in 2018, when we reached the final with Australia. German would have the ball, but German wouldn't release the ball. There's a difference there. The more time you take on the ball, the more the opposition can come on to you and basically block the spaces or the channels from where the ball gets released. I think Fulton has probably brought that kind of a skill area, and he's made them realize that there are open channels which you have to use once you get the ball. Don't sit on the ball. Clear it at pace. But he's emphasizing that if you have a solid defense, it's difficult to beat a team. I think he's right in that, Rahul.
Okay, then the recent match where India beat Korea 3-2, wafer thin, and Korea was a pretty tough side. So are there any pointers that one can take from that into the Pakistan game?
I think probably Pakistan will learn more about this in a way if they start watching the video, which they definitely must have. They would have people sitting there and watching it, as to how in the last quarter Korea did zonal marking, where basically they brought in 2-3 players and they completely blocked the channels for India to pass on and create a counter. What happens then when you don't have channels to pass? Then the ball remains in your half, and Korea can play a much higher position in terms of attacking, in terms of putting pressure, in terms of having a superior game. I think the fourth quarter, 10 penalty corners Korea got. Just imagine, in 15 minutes, Korea had 10 penalty corners. They brought the scoreline down to 2-3, and they were almost there to score the equalizer. I think for for the Indian team, they must have gone through these videos a zillion times by now. But at the same time, I think Pakistan would also have gone through them. And I think they probably will learn more. And we just have to understand and avoid how to avoid the basic zonal defensive markings that an opposition brings in. Also, I think one point has to be made. Sometimes hockey looks as if it's just ebb and flow. It's just going and coming back, going and coming back. It's not that. It's become more of modern chess now. It's what the coach who's at the top of the gallery speaking to the chief coach who's at the bench. All of that is being relayed. Because, for example, I'll just give you a small example. If Harmanpreet is off the ground, or let's say Germanpreet is off the ground, German plays left, and German has a tendency also with the coach that if he gets the ball and he finds a channel, he moves up on the flank. The opposition coach who's on the gallery, who's looking at that German has been substituted, will try and put a player in German's line who can play much faster, basically exploiting that Germanpreet is not on the team right now for 2 minutes. In those 2 minutes, the opposition attacks because they understand German is a very, very solid player. In that way, I think hockey has become like chess. It is more like, okay, in 20 seconds, what am I supposed to do? In 40 seconds, what am I supposed to do? Sometimes as fans and even as journalists and media and all of that, we don't get all this. I think it's time also for a lot of coaches to speak a little so fans understand why something happens in a match and why something doesn't happen in a match.
Okay, last point I want to hit on the show before we wind up, because we are running out of time. After Pakistan reached Chennai, the main coach Sakleen basically said that Pakistan should be able to beat India. Was that bravado, or you feel there can be the possibility of an upset still looms large?
I think he's probably grabbing a little slice of history that he always had as a player. I mean, he and Dhanraj, I mean, we have spoken about this, had a great relationship on and off the field. You know, off the field, on the field, they were once in a while clash, but off the field, you would say Sakleen going to Dhanraj and Dhanraj coming to him. You know, so I think for Sakleen, for a Pakistan coach, it gets very difficult, and vice versa. Probably Craig would have acted differently. If Craig goes to Pakistan, you will not see him, or you will not hear these kind of comments, because that's Craig. But if an Indian coach goes there, he would of course say something that, you know, attracts the media. It doesn't say ki nahi hum dekhenge match mein jo hoga tab hoga. Sometimes you are forced. I think Sakleen probably was a little pushed to say that, you know, what are you going to say here? So aap boliye ki Pakistan jeetega. We have come to win here. Of course, at the end of the day, you have to agree that Pakistan has come to win its matches. They haven't come to lose here. And the game with India, as I say, I mean, a victory will send it through the roof for them. And even a draw, as Sakleen says, as Rehan says, it's going to be a very, very big thing for Pakistan if they draw the game against India.
Okay, we'll leave it at that. And I must inform the viewers that Sandeep, who's Mr. Hockey himself, is on his way to Chennai. He'll be there for the India-Pakistan match tomorrow for a very special coverage. And this, the way the whole game will play out, we will be reporting right through the day. Thanks for watching. We'll be back with more updates. Thanks, Sandeep.
Thanks.